I still remember the first day I met him, the way his eyes caught mine across that crowded college corridor. It wasn't love at first sight, or maybe it was. Back then, I didn't even believe in love. But something about the way he smiled, confident, calm, and a little dangerous, made me pause. His name was Arav, the kind of guy every girl seemed to like. Charming, funny, always surrounded by people. And me, I was the quiet one. The girl who sat near the window, lost in her world of books and coffee. Maybe that's why it shocked everyone when he started talking to me. At first, it was small things. Asking for notes, casual greetings in the hallway. But slowly, those greetings turned into conversations, and conversations turned into long walks after class. He made me laugh. He made me feel seen. And when someone finally makes you feel visible, after years of blending into the background, you don't question it. You just fall. Arav became my world faster than I could realize. Late-night calls, random texts, the way he'd remember small things about me, like how I loved black coffee or how I always wore silver rings. He'd say things like, "You're not like other girls, you're different." And I'd blush like a fool, thinking it was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever said. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and before I knew it, he had all of me. My time, my heart, my trust. My friends warned me, though. They said, Arav's not serious. He's known for playing around. But I defended him like people defend their dreams. I'd say, "You don't know him. He's changed." Oh, how wrong I was. It started small. The distance, the silence, the unanswered messages. I'd text him, "Are you okay?" And hours would pass before he'd reply, "Just busy." At first I believed him, but slowly my heart started to sense something was off. He wasn't busy. He was fading. And I was too blinded by love to see it clearly. Then came that night. The night everything changed. He told me he loved me more than anything. His words were soft, his eyes convincing. I believed every syllable. He promised me forever. And for a moment, I thought I finally found my always. But forever, it turned out, had an expiry date. A week later, he stopped picking up my calls, stopped replying, vanished. Just like that. At first, I thought something had happened. I even went to his place, but he wasn't there. His friends looked at me with pity, like they knew something I didn't. Then one of them said the words that shattered me. "He's seeing someone else now. You didn't know?" It felt like my entire world crashed in a single heartbeat. The guy who said I was his everything had replaced me in days. I went home that night, numb. I didn't cry, not immediately. The pain was too big for tears. It was like standing in the middle of a storm, but the rain refused to fall. The next morning, I opened my phone and saw something that broke whatever pieces of me were left. A picture. Him. With her. Smiling. Captioned, "My everything." My hands trembled. My chest burned. And in that moment, I realized love doesn't always end with closure. Sometimes it ends with silence and a picture that tells you you've been replaced. For days, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I'd stare at my phone, hoping he'd text, hoping he'd say, "I'm sorry." But he never did. People said, "Move on." But how do you move on from someone who made you forget who you were before them? I lost myself trying to love him. And when he left, I didn't even know who I was anymore.
The days after Arav left felt like walking through fog. Everything looked familiar, but nothing felt the same. My room, my college, my friends, everything reminded me of him. His laughter still echoed in my mind. His promises still rang in my ears. Every corner I turned, I half expected him to appear, smile, and say, "It was all a joke, I'm still here." But he never came. Instead, what came were whispers, people talking behind my back. Some said, "She trusted the wrong guy." Others said, "She gave too much." And the worst ones said nothing, just looked at me with pity. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them they didn't know the full story. But no one listens to broken voices. At night, I'd lie awake staring at my phone screen, reading our old messages, the "I love yous" that now felt like cruel jokes, the plans we made for the future that never came true. I deleted them once, then restored them again, because even pain felt better than emptiness. College became unbearable. He and his new girlfriend walked around like a perfect couple. And me? I became invisible. Every smile of theirs cut deeper than a knife could. I remember once I passed by them in the canteen. She held his arm, laughing at something he said. For a moment, he looked at me, just a passing glance, and then looked away, like I never existed. That hurt more than anything. Because it wasn't just love that ended, it was dignity too. Days turned into weeks, and I sank deeper. My grades dropped, my health got worse. I stopped eating properly, stopped meeting people. One evening, my best friend Ria came over. She looked at me, her eyes filled with concern. "Enough, Meera. You can't keep living like this. He's not worth your tears." I didn't reply. Because somewhere deep down, I knew she was right. But knowing doesn't mean healing. Ria hugged me tight. "You gave your heart to someone who didn't deserve it. But that's not your failure. That's his." Her words lingered. And that night, for the first time, I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, realizing that maybe, just maybe, losing him wasn't the end. Maybe it was the start of something I hadn't discovered yet. But still, a part of me wanted answers. Why did he do it? Was I just a game to him? Did he ever love me at all? Those questions haunted me like ghosts that refused to leave. Then one day, I saw something that froze me completely. Arav had posted a photo holding a small gift I once gave him, a silver keychain with our initials. The caption read, "Old memories die hard." What was that supposed to mean? Was he missing me or just playing another mind game? That small caption reopened every wound. I realized he wasn't done with me. Not in my heart, not in my mind. And whether he knew it or not, I was about to rise from the same ashes he left me in. Because this silence, this unbearable emptiness, was slowly teaching me one thing. Love may break you, but pain rebuilds you in ways love never could. The days after Arav left felt like walking through fog. Everything looked familiar, but nothing felt the same. My room, my college, my friends, everything reminded me of him. His laughter still echoed in my mind. His promises still rang in my ears. Every corner I turned, I half expected him to appear, smile, and say, "It was all a joke, I'm still here." But he never came. Instead, what came were whispers, people talking behind my back. Some said, "She trusted the wrong guy." Others said, "She gave too much." And the worst ones said nothing, just looked at me with pity. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them they didn't know the full story. But no one listens to broken voices. At night, I'd lie awake staring at my phone screen, reading our old messages, the "I love yous" that now felt like cruel jokes, the plans we made for the future that never came true. I deleted them once, then restored them again, because even pain felt better than emptiness. College became unbearable. He and his new girlfriend walked around like a perfect couple. And me? I became invisible. Every smile of theirs cut deeper than a knife could. I remember once I passed by them in the canteen. She held his arm, laughing at something he said. For a moment, he looked at me, just a passing glance, and then looked away, like I never existed. That hurt more than anything. Because it wasn't just love that ended, it was dignity too. Days turned into weeks, and I sank deeper. My grades dropped, my health got worse, I stopped eating properly, stopped meeting people. One evening, my best friend Ria came over. She looked at me, her eyes filled with concern. Enough, Meera. You can't keep living like this. He's not worth your tears. I didn't reply. Because somewhere deep down, I knew she was right. But knowing doesn't mean healing. Ria hugged me tight. You gave your heart to someone who didn't deserve it. But that's not your failure. That's his. Her words lingered. And that night, for the first time, I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, realizing that maybe, just maybe, losing him wasn't the end. Maybe it was the start of something I hadn't discovered yet. But still, a part of me wanted answers. Why did he do it? Was I just a game to him? Did he ever love me at all? Those questions haunted me like ghosts that refused to leave. Then one day, I saw something that froze me completely. Arav had posted a photo holding a small gift I once gave him, a silver keychain with our initials. The caption read, "Old memories die hard." What was that supposed to mean? Was he missing me or just playing another mind game? That small caption reopened every wound. I realized he wasn't done with me. Not in my heart, not in my mind. And whether he knew it or not, I was about to rise from the same ashes he left me in. Because this silence, this unbearable emptiness, was slowly teaching me one thing. Love may break you, but pain rebuilds you in ways love never could. Days turned into weeks, and weeks slowly bled into months. The world didn't stop for my pain. It never does. Classes continued, people laughed, love stories bloomed around me, and I sat in silence, pretending I was fine. Everyone thought I had moved on. I smiled when I had to, laughed when it was expected, but inside, I was still standing in the ruins of what we once had. Every song, every place, every scent, everything reminded me of him. Sometimes I'd open his profile just to see how happy he looked. And yes, he looked happy. As if what we had never meant anything. As if I was just a chapter he had already closed. I used to wonder, how can someone move on so easily? How can you forget someone who trusted you with her soul? It felt unfair. It was unfair. One afternoon, I sat by the college lawn, watching people talk and laugh. That's when Ria came and sat next to me. You need to stop checking his updates, Meera, she said. You're keeping the wound open. I sighed. I don't know how to stop. Every time I try, my heart drags me back. She placed a hand on my shoulder. Then maybe your heart needs a new direction? Those words stayed with me. That night, I sat at my study table and looked at my reflection in the dark laptop screen. The girl staring back wasn't the same anymore. She looked tired, hurt, and lost. But somewhere behind that pain, I saw a spark, small but alive. Maybe it was time to stop chasing answers from someone who didn't care. Maybe it was time to find them within myself. So I began small. I started journaling. I wrote about everything, the love, the betrayal, the lessons. And as I wrote, something strange happened. I began to heal. Not all at once, but slowly. Like a wound that finally starts to scab. Still, there were nights when the memories hit hard. The laughter, the touch, the way he said my name. I'd curl up and cry. But at least now I knew I was healing, not breaking. One day, while organizing my drawer, I found the bracelet he gave me. I stared at it for a long time. Then I walked outside, stood near the lake behind my hostel, and dropped it in. As it sank, I whispered, "Goodbye, Arav." It wasn't dramatic, no music played, but something inside me shifted. For the first time, I didn't feel pain, I felt peace. The world had moved on. And maybe, finally, I was learning to move too. But little did I know, the past has a strange way of returning, just when you start to forget it.
It was a quiet Sunday evening when my phone buzzed. A message from a number I hadn't saved, but one I could never forget. Arav. For a few seconds, my heart froze. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Hey, can we talk? Just 4 words, but they ripped open everything I had spent months trying to seal. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. After all this time, why now? Part of me wanted to ignore it, but curiosity is cruel. I typed, "What do you want, Arav?" He replied almost instantly. "I just wanted to explain, please." Explain? After vanishing like I was nothing? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet, not because I wanted him back, but because I needed closure. We met at the same cafe where it all began. The irony burned. He looked the same, confident, charming, but this time I wasn't that naive girl anymore. He smiled awkwardly. "You look good." I didn't smile back. "Say what you came to say." He sighed. "I know I messed up, Mira. I got scared. Things were moving fast, my parents didn't approve, and I thought it was easier to walk away." I laughed bitterly. "You didn't walk away, Arav. You disappeared. You let me drown in silence." He looked down. "I didn't know how to face you." "Then why now?" I asked. His eyes softened. "Because I can't forget you." For a moment, I almost believed him, but then I remembered the girl he left me for. And what about her? He hesitated. "We broke up. She wasn't you." I took a deep breath, trying to control the storm inside me. "You didn't lose me because of her, Arav. You lost me because you made me question my worth." He reached out, but I pulled back. "You don't get to touch me anymore." Silence. Heavy. Honest. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," he whispered. "Sorry doesn't fix broken trust. It doesn't rebuild what you destroyed." I stood up to leave, but as I turned, he said something that stopped me cold. "Mira, someone told me to leave you." I froze. "What do you mean?" He looked guilty. "Someone close to you. They said you weren't serious, that you were playing with me. I believed them." My heart dropped. "Someone close to me betrayed me? Who?" I demanded. He looked away. "Ria." The name hit me like lightning. My best friend, my only support. No, that couldn't be true. Ria was the one who held me through the pain. Why would she? But as I looked back, all the moments replayed. How Ria always warned me about Arav, how she always had opinions, how she always showed up at the perfect moment. Had it all been an act? I left without another word. My heart was a battlefield again, not because of love this time, but because of betrayal deeper than I ever imagined. I walked home that night in complete silence. The streets blurred around me, voices faded. My mind was a storm. Ria? My best friend? No, it couldn't be true. But deep inside, a small voice whispered, "What if it is?" All those times she asked questions about me and Arav, how she always showed up right after our fights, how she always reminded me of my worth, but in a way that made me doubt him. I tried to shake the thought off, but it clung to me. The next morning, I couldn't resist. I called Ria. "Hey," she said cheerfully, like nothing was wrong. "Can we meet?" I asked, keeping my tone calm. She agreed, and we met at our usual spot, the old park bench under the peepal tree. She smiled when she saw me. "You look better. What's up?" I sat down slowly. Arav reached out. Her expression froze for a split second, just enough for me to notice. "Oh, after all this time?" "Yes," I said. "He told me something strange." She looked away. "What did he say?" "He said someone close to me told him to leave me." Her smile wavered. That's ridiculous. Who would... Ria, I said softly. He said it was you. The color drained from her face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us turned heavy. Finally, she said, "He's lying." "Then look me in the eye," I whispered, "and tell me you didn't do it." She hesitated. Her eyes flickered. Guilt, fear, something unspoken. And then the truth slipped out. Not in words, but in silence. Tears filled my eyes. Why? Her voice trembled. "Because I was tired of being your shadow, Mira. You had everything. Looks, attention, love. And me? I was invisible." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You destroyed my life because you were jealous?" She wiped her tears angrily. "You'll never understand. He liked me first, but when he saw you, I disappeared again. I wanted to feel seen, for once." I stood there frozen, my heart breaking all over again, but in a completely different way. "You were my sister, Ria," I whispered. "I trusted you more than anyone." She looked away, whispering, "I'm sorry." But sorry had lost its meaning long ago. I walked away, each step heavier than the last. I didn't cry this time. The tears had dried up. The pain had turned into something colder, something stronger. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were swollen, my face pale, but my heart had changed. "I've lost enough," I whispered to my reflection. "No more." That was the night I hit rock bottom. But sometimes you need to break completely to start rebuilding. I deleted his number, blocked her everywhere. And then, for the first time in months, I opened my laptop. Not to stalk anyone, but to write something new. I poured everything I felt, every wound, every betrayal, every piece of my truth into words. And as I typed, I realized something powerful. Pain can destroy you, but it can also define you. That night, I promised myself I would rise. Not for him, not for her, for me.
The morning after that decision felt different. For the first time in a long time, the sun didn't hurt my eyes. I got out of bed, looked around my messy room, and started cleaning, almost symbolically, like clearing away the ruins of my past. Every book I touched, every note I rearranged, felt like I was reclaiming pieces of myself. Days passed, and slowly I started rebuilding. I rejoined my classes, began focusing on my studies again. I started exercising, eating right, and most importantly, I stopped checking my phone for messages that would never come. At first, people were surprised. Some whispered, "She's changed." And they were right. I had. But healing isn't magic. It's messy, it's slow, it's painful. Some nights, I still cried quietly. But now those tears didn't make me weak. They cleaned my heart of the people who didn't deserve a place in it. A few months later, I got selected for an internship in a marketing firm. It wasn't a big thing, but to me it felt like freedom. On my first day, I stood in front of the mirror wearing a crisp white shirt, hair tied neatly. For the first time, I didn't see a broken girl. I saw someone who survived. My mentor there, Ananya, was sharp and confident. She noticed my dedication immediately. "You've got potential," she told me one afternoon. "Use your pain as power. It makes your work real." Her words struck deep. So I did exactly that. I started writing campaign ideas inspired by emotions, love, heartbreak, betrayal, everything I knew too well. And they worked. Soon my ideas started getting noticed. Clients appreciated my honesty and raw emotion. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was becoming. Months passed, and with every small success, I felt the weight of my past lift a little more. But the world has a funny way of testing you right when you think you've made it through. One evening I attended a college reunion, hesitant but curious. I walked in confident, dressed in elegance, surrounded by old faces and old memories. And that's when I saw him, Arav, standing across the hall, looking almost surprised to see me. He froze, his smile fading. I held my head high, pretending I didn't notice. He approached slowly. Mira, you look different. I smiled politely. Growth does that. He laughed nervously. I've been meaning to talk to you. About what? I asked calmly. He sighed. About everything. I was stupid. I hurt you. But seeing you now, I just want you to know that I'm proud of you. I nodded. Good. Because I'm proud of me too. He looked at me like he couldn't recognize me anymore. And maybe he couldn't, because the girl he left behind was gone. Before he could say more, I smiled faintly. Take care, Arav. And I walked away, not dramatically, not out of anger, but with peace. That night when I returned home, I stood on my balcony and smiled. The city lights reflected in my eyes, but this time I wasn't looking for him in them. I was looking at me, the version of myself I thought I'd lost forever. For the first time, I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. But destiny had one last surprise waiting, one that would unfold soon enough.
It had been almost a year since I last saw him. A year filled with sleepless nights, quiet victories, and countless moments when I rebuilt myself from nothing. I thought I had buried every memory of him deep inside my heart, sealed, forgotten. But fate has its own strange way of testing us. It was a rainy evening. I had just come out of a small business meeting, the kind that used to scare me once, but now I handled with confidence. My hair was damp and my phone buzzed with messages from colleagues congratulating me on closing another deal. That's when I saw a familiar face across the cafe street. Him, the man who once shattered me without a second thought. He looked different. Not the same proud, confident person I remembered. His shoulders were slightly bent, his face older, not from time, but from guilt. For a moment I froze, my breath caught in my chest. Every memory, every laugh, every betrayal rushed back like a storm. I wanted to look away, to walk past like he never existed. But something inside me whispered, no, this time you won't hide. He noticed me too. Our eyes met, his widened in shock, mine stayed still. He walked toward me, hesitating, almost as if afraid I would disappear. Hey, it's been so long, he said softly, trying to smile. I looked at him, calm, composed. Yes, it has. He tried to start small talk, fumbling with his words. The same person who once thought he had control now couldn't even meet my eyes properly. It was strange. The same face that once made me cry now didn't have the power to shake me. We sat for a few minutes, catching up in awkward silence. He told me life hadn't been easy for him. Things didn't go as planned. His new relationships fell apart. His job failed, and somewhere along the way, he lost himself. He keeps thinking about what he did to you, he said finally. I shouldn't have left. I hurt you more than I'll ever admit. I stared at him. The old me would have broken down, maybe even forgiven him. But the woman sitting there now wasn't the same girl he once used. I'm not angry anymore, I said. I'm just done. You were a chapter I needed to close. He looked stunned. Maybe he expected tears or a confrontation, but I had no reason to fight anymore. I had already won the silent war within myself. He asked if we could start over, as friends. I smiled faintly. We can't start over when we were never real to begin with. And with that, I stood up. The rain had stopped and a golden light cut through the clouds. It felt symbolic, like the universe itself was telling me that closure doesn't come from others. It comes from you. That day, I didn't walk away broken. I walked away free. Days after that encounter, I kept replaying it in my mind. not because I missed him, but because I realized something deeper. For years, I blamed myself for what happened, but standing face to face with him again, I finally saw the truth. It was never my fault. A week later, something unexpected happened. A message from one of his old friends appeared in my inbox, someone I barely knew. "Hey," it read, "I just wanted to tell you, you never deserved what he did. He used people for attention. You were the only one who actually cared about him." Reading that felt like a door opening inside me. All the unanswered questions, all the nights wondering why me, they suddenly had an answer. It wasn't because I wasn't enough, it was because he was empty. But the truth didn't just stop there. That same friend told me something else, something that left me speechless. He used to talk about how you were the only one who genuinely believed in him. After you left, he lost everyone. He said your silence hurt more than any revenge could. I remember sitting there, tears in my eyes, not of pain, but of realization. My silence, my strength, my peace had become my greatest revenge. He tried reaching out again, through messages, through mutual contacts, but I didn't respond. I didn't need to. He had already seen the truth, that I had grown beyond his reach. Weeks later, I got a message that he moved away, trying to start a new life. Good for him, because I already had one, mine. I shared my story anonymously online, not for attention, but to help others who had faced the same pain. Thousands of people connected, shared their experiences, and thanked me for giving them courage. That was the real ending, not revenge, not apology, but healing. Because revenge fades, but truth stays. As I looked back one last time, I whispered to myself, "You didn't lose him. You found yourself." And that truth, my truth, was the most powerful ending I could have ever asked for. Months passed. Life settled into a rhythm that finally felt like mine. No more messages, no more ghosts from the past, just peace. Every morning I woke up, brewed my coffee, and looked at the sunrise through my window. It felt different now. Calm, forgiving, alive. There was no rush to prove myself anymore, no hidden pain behind my smile. For so long, I believed healing came from revenge. I thought maybe if I made him regret, I'd feel whole again. But the truth? Healing didn't come from hurting back. It came from letting go. One afternoon, I went back to the place where it all began. That small park bench where we first met. The trees had grown taller, the paint on the bench had faded, but standing there, I didn't feel sadness. I felt gratitude. Gratitude for the pain that taught me strength. Gratitude for the betrayal that showed me truth. Gratitude for the loneliness that helped me find myself. I sat there quietly, listening to the wind, the laughter of children playing, the sound of life continuing, and realized how far I had come. I wasn't the same girl who begged for answers. I wasn't the same woman who cried herself to sleep. I was someone reborn through heartbreak. And that's when I understood, people who break you aren't always villains. Sometimes they're the push you need to build your wings. Later that week, I got an email from a girl, a stranger. She had watched my story video online. She wrote, "Your story gave me courage to leave someone who was using me. I realized my worth because of your words. Thank you for saving me." Reading that made my heart swell. Maybe that's why all this happened, so my story could light someone else's way out of their darkness. And in that moment, I knew my pain had purpose. I smiled to myself and whispered, maybe this was never about losing him. Maybe it was about finding me. I stood up, feeling lighter than ever before. The world looked beautiful again, not because it changed, but because I did.